Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the XYZ Experiment podcast. It's me, Luke, your Gen Z, and I am with Darsh, our Gen Y, and Fiona, our Gen X. And guys, I'm still on the friendship train. Last episode, we were talking a little bit about the concept of best friends, and something that we kind of all brought up and that we just know about when it comes to friendships is that they change over time. Things change them, and that's kind of what helps solidify them, strengthen them, maintain them. And I'm not sure if you guys have looked outside the window recently, but there is a lot of change currently in our world, and that affects everything, including our friendships. And I was wondering, just putting this out there to you guys, open-ended question, have you noticed any changes in your friendships over the last kind of couple, I guess, months since the beginning of 2026, either in the way you guys communicate, in where you're going? I noticed that in where I'm going, that's changed a lot. What do you guys, any reflections on that?
I think I am more conscious on how expensive things are.
Mm,
And the number one thing that I like to do with my friends is go out and eat. And we do tend to go to restaurants that can sometimes be a little bit expensive. And so it is really kind of sitting back and thinking. And so, like, even like when we're chatting about options where we would go to eat, it's like putting a range of different um, low end, mid end, high end. So people can choose, like not always just automatically assuming we're going to go to a fancy restaurant for a catch up. And also, like occasionally thinking, oh, I know that person may have some financial burdens on because they've got X, Y, and Z happening in their family. And so I will then offer to host and cook as opposed to then go out. And even the hosting and cooking has a dual benefit because you don't get kicked out of the restaurant when your 2 hour or 1.5 hour window is up. And you do have a bit more of a private space. It's not as loud, but I do think it is very much driven by financial cost of living stuff and yeah, how much people might end up having to pay because restaurants have jacked up their prices big time.
mm,
So I do feel like that has been an interesting dynamic over the last I think I've felt it mostly over the last 5 months.
yeah, I feel quite similar to that. Even just reflecting on it now, though, are there how many places would you say that you can kind of go with your friends at the moment that are like free?
Oh,
Because we were thinking about it, and it's like library.
parks. It's getting cold
Yeah,
now.
It,
I was going to say, like, I caught up with one of my friends last week, and they're going through a hard time at the moment. And we went for a walk,
mm,
and we walked. I took her of a tour of the city, basically. And I said, we'll do all the laneways and I'll walk you up and down. And I know a lot of the history of the city. So it was almost like a tour as we chatted and talked and we meandered all the way through. And then when we stopped for a coffee, I paid for the coffee, because I didn't
mm,
want her to think at any time that she had a financial commitment to this date. This was just us having a catch up. And so I said to her when we got to this really lovely bakery, I said, look, I need a drink because I do, and we're going to stop. And it's much, I'm buying. I'm buying. And she graciously said, thank you. That would be great.
mm,
Because it's a matter of not embarrassing them either, So just acknowledging that I'm going to buy, she says thank you, not buying a huge lunch or dinner or anything like that, just getting a coffee so we can just sit down and talk more. But I would have very few catch ups where I do big dinners, which I think is quite different to maybe what you're saying, Dash, in that a lot of my catch ups with my friends are walking. I go to the NGV quite a lot. With
Hmm.
friends, so I make quite a lot of friends at the NGV because it's free and we have a wander around that. I have taken
mm.
friends to the library and we go have a look at the Ned Kelly stuff and we have a look at all the
Are you allowed to talk in the library?
yeah, you can talk in the library. So we go in and we wander around and have a look and go up and have a look at the rare book section. And I do a lot of that actually, now that we're reflecting on it. But maybe that's because also I'm being careful about my budget as well. So, and it's
Mm.
probably me
Mm.
making the suggestions of those things, saying, let's do this, let's do that. Because I understand finances are tight at the moment, like really. I mean, I'm seeing it in my surgery with patients saying how much that going to cost. Like it's gone, yeah, I can really see it's tight at the moment, like really tight.
And I think even with our friendship groups, like when we are going out to dinners, we're sharing meals a lot more,
Yeah,
Mm,
sharing pizzas, sharing starters, not necessarily buying bottles of wine.
yeah,
Um, so like even what we're ordering has changed
yes.
quite significantly.
Because it does add up. I mean, we went
Mhm.
to Cheap and Cheerful Asian the other day, and there was 10 of us. And when we saw the bill, we were like, oh my God. We're just all a little bit stunned how much we'd spent. And because, like you said, Dash, all the costs have gone up, and I understand why in
Of
restaurants and
course,
all that.
yeah.
Like I completely get it, that the cost of living for those restaurants must be so, so tough at the moment, like really tough. So yeah, it's just I suppose it just means what's the catch up for as well? What is it? Is it just a normal little catch up where you're just catching up on all your gossip with your friends, or is it a celebration of something? Because they're quite different meetups, aren't they?
Mm,
mhm. Yeah, I think so. For me, the catch-ups now are I'm currently living in a really nice place with one of my best friends,
Mm.
and we've got a bunch of board games. So
Oh yeah,
our house kind of becomes that rotating door for like
yeah,
hangouts now, which I
yeah,
think is cool. The one thing that we've tried to do as well is because there's a lot of places like, for example, like going out to drink, right? Where when you go into a bar, like let's catch up at a bar, it's like to buy drinks. But we've kind of tried to change that a bit. So we do like trivia nights now,
yeah.
where the idea
ah,
is you go out to a bar for trivia and there's no pressure to get a drink because you're just there for free trivia.
Mm.
yeah.
And that way you could like, I've also noticed that we only really now all get like one or two drinks max when we go out. But it's trying to be a bit crafty about like finding those because sometimes like a walk is really nice for that like deep one-on-one connection catch up. But in terms of shared experience, sometimes it doesn't need to be really deep D&M. It's just like let's have fun and do something, right?
Mm.
And
Mm.
so that like something like trivia or playing board games gives you that opportunity.
Side note, when I was in Tasmania, Luke and I caught up for dinner with some other friends, and we
Mm.
accidentally had booked, what was that? A pub? I don't know. It
Yep.
was a pub, and it was on a trivia night, and it was run by this incredible trans woman. It was the most hilarious thing, which we weren't anticipating. So we didn't get to catch up, but we came third.
Yeah, we came third and we won like a drinks voucher that I still have here.
That's
That
experiences that
As
make
experiences.
besties.
I
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
And we were like, okay, that's a category area. We don't know how to talk about that one. So that whoever's on the table knows that information is going to fill out the answers. It was actually hilarious, but unplanned trivia.
Hmm.
How amazing. That would have been so much fun.
We could not stop laughing. Oh my God.
Yeah, I think I was the latest person there, and I walked in and I was like, and Dash was like, "Yeah, we're doing this now," and I was like, "Okay, cool."
Because they kind of bullied us into it. We were like, oh, we can sit on a table over there. They're like, no, no, you're like being part of the trivia. We're like,
Mm,
okay.
The
um,
other the other thing I've noticed with friendships is I like to go to do a lot of experiences, like go to a lot of concerts and things like that. But I've been doing a lot of them on my own recently. I've been a
mm,
single traveler doing those sorts of things, as in like going to see a concert or going to even art exhibitions that are, $50 or something like that, because I don't want my friend to be forced to spend the money or anything like that. I will
mm,
ask, but quite often the answer is, oh, no, not at the moment. And I know why. But yeah, I've noticed I've had to do a lot of that sort of thing as a single. And because of that, because I'm looking at the cost as well, often I'll buy that ticket on the day because then they offer a cheaper ticket, like a cheaper ticket. Like we
mm,
haven't
mm,
sold the last of these tickets, so here's a ticket that's one third of the cost of a normal ticket. And I belong to a couple of websites that allow you to do that. And so I've gone to a lot of shows recently where I've got the ticket literally at 9 o'clock that morning for a 7 o'clock performance, and it's the tickets they couldn't sell. Because I think a lot of
Mm,
those sorts of, and that's something I would have done with like a group of friends. There would have been, a few of us going together to see this. And the fact that those cheap tickets come up that morning tells me a lot of people are like that now, that
mm,
the group of girls or group of work colleagues and that aren't doing those sorts of experiences anymore.
Well, it's really interesting you bring that up because I have become really, really selective as to which concerts or events that I will go
Mm,
to because it's so expensive. So I would have to really, really, really want to go to it to fork out that amount of
yeah.
money. And there's quite a few times friends will be like, do you want to go to this or do you want to go to that? I'm like, yeah, it sounds really interesting, but do I want to spend 150, $200 on that? Like, is that, and the other thing, it's also because I'm old. Um, when it's midweek and I'm like, that's not going to finish before 10 o'clock at night. I'm going to be really tired. So it's weighing that up as well. But it's like, okay, you not only then have to go to the event, you go to the event, but you often have dinner beforehand.
mm,
And, depending on people might be driving in, so they have to pay for parking or all of that kind of stuff. It does become a very expensive outing.
mm,
It's funny if we talk about the ages with that sort of stuff. So my sisters and I, a few of us are in our 50s now, and one of my sisters recently got invited to a 50th birthday party, but the party didn't start till 9 o'clock at night. And she was
mm,
like, what the hell? We're all in bed by 10. Like, what are
Yes.
you doing at 9 o'clock at night? And even though it was a weekend, and they were all laughing as a group, just going, why have you booked it so late? We should do the 6 o'clock.
mm,
And I think it does change as you get older, like it really does with your friends, just laughing. You make when you're younger, and I want your perspectives on this, Luke, but when you're younger, you laugh at the 6 o'clock crowd, and now when you're older, you're like, I am that 6 o'clock crowd. But are you still happy to go out late, Luke? Like what's with your friends? No, Luke's going, no. It's
no.
probably
Um, my partner and I went out for dinner yesterday. We went
Mhm.
out because we'd gotten $100 gift card for this place because otherwise it would have been a bit. Even then, like I don't often go out. So when we went out and it was over $100 and we had to pay
Mm.
the difference, I was like, whoa! I thought that $100 is like a cap,
Yeah.
but because it was a Friday night, the latest seating, like the only seating available was 8 o'clock, and I was
hmm
like, whoa, that's late. We're not going to get home till 9:30. Jeez.
But the other thing about going to places early is often they'll have happy hour that will overlap with
Ah,
you starting. And so that's another thing to kind of keep in mind is, if you do want to drink and you get there at like 5:30 and happy hour
Mm,
finishes at 6, you can have your first drink half price.
actually, that's true because I know when I've booked a couple of things, a couple of friends have said to me, "Oh, you're missing happy hour," and we've actually made a change for that
Yeah.
very
mm,
reason. I think because I don't drink alcohol, it doesn't even come into my thought at all. But yeah, that's happened a couple of times. That's so true. It's so true.
But I
mhm,
do think like, there's the price of like actually eating out, but there's the price of getting around Melbourne. And,
Mm,
we live in Australia and your friends could be spread out across lots of different suburbs where it might be a 30-minute drive, a 40-minute drive, an hour drive to get somewhere. And it's now taking that into consideration, actually, how much is that going to cost someone in petrol?
because I'm not even worried. I mean, sorry, I take that back. I am worried about the cost, but then I'm also worried, will I actually be able to fill my tank next week? Will there be
I know.
fuel?
Will there actually be fuel?
Yeah, will there be fuel? Like I have those two worries in my head, like not only the cost, but will there actually be fuel next week?
Mm-hmm.
mm.
And so I'm rationing my fuel, going, I won't drive the car because it's got a full tank at the moment. Just in case in 2 weeks' time I need the car, at least I've got some fuel in it.
Yeah.
Have you guys, as a result, and it's a little bit different for me because I'm in Hobart and I've got quite a few friends now that I studied with that were my Hobart friends that have kind of gone back to their respective states. So a lot of it is digital communication, anyways. But have you found any of your hangouts have kind of been transposed into like the digital space as a result because it
Mm.
tends to be a little bit more economic, whether it's like, oh, and it could be a timing thing as well, hard to get a time, too expensive to do certain things. So just like, oh, let's just do a call instead. Or like we can go on, like, there are those like platforms where you can watch Netflix at the same time, like you can watch a
Mm.
movie at the same time.
No, definitely not. Like mine would only be one-on-one and it would be text message and
Mm,
a phone call, but definitely not a group setting. Definitely not.
mm.
Fiona,
Yeah.
we had one the other week, although
Which
you
one's that?
missed it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, you mean with the possums? Yeah. Yeah, no, I missed that one. But we don't do that often though.
We don't do.
And that's not a financial thing. That's because one of our possums is in Singapore.
So, see, this is the naming convention, right? We did a leadership course where we were put into a group called the Possums, and so it has stuck. And so we refer to ourselves as the Possums.
Hmm.
It was after a particular possum, which I've now
The
totally,
leader beta possum.
yeah, it's an Australian possum, which I think is going extinct.
No, they're recovering it. I sent an article to all you
Oh,
girls.
yeah,
Yeah.
clearly I read that. But we will do that over Zoom because, yes, one person does live in Singapore. But to your point, Luke, do you feel like your ability to connect face to face, like, do you feel like there's an expectation to travel interstate to catch up with people at least once a year?
Yeah, a little bit. That's kind of a lot of what the conversations are about. I guess for me, because Melbourne, all my family are there, it's a little bit easier because it's like you can justify it a little bit more.
And you have somewhere to stay.
And I've got somewhere to
Mm,
stay, which is really nice. But I went a couple of weeks ago to Melbourne to go to see a concert with my family, and that was like, I think that's the first time I've been to a concert in maybe like 2 or 3 years. And they were like, "Oh, when are we going to do this again?" And I was like,
mm.
"I I couldn't tell you honestly." And we were even just trying to plan me coming back to Melbourne at some point, and it's like, I just don't know. I don't know what's the world's going to be like in a couple months.
Yeah.
When you came to Melbourne,
You
did you
didn't
feel a
catch up
commit?
with us.
Yeah, no, no.
Yeah.
Did you feel a commitment that you have to see as many friends as you can, or do you feel any guilt if you don't? Or
Yeah, definitely. It can be quite stressful. It's gotten
mm,
to a point now where, because it tends to just be over the weekend, there's maybe five friends that will get a message,
mm,
and it tends to not be in advance. It tends to be like a day before, being like, "Hey, I'm going to be in Melbourne. If you're around, let's go." Another thing that we do is pool, because you can get like an hour playing pool for like $20. It's ten
Oh, the
dollars
game
each.
pool.
Yeah, not swimming.
Billiards.
Billiards, sure, whatever you can call it.
mhm.
Yeah, that tends to be a pretty like cheap recreational activity as well. But when we do hang out, it is just like walking around the city, just hanging out.
Do you bring
Wow.
them all together? Like when I used to go back to West Australia to see my family, I would get all my friends together. Like I'd often
Mm,
have a night where we'd come to my parents' house and we would cook dinner, like we'd have a barbecue, and I would get them all to try and come to that event to catch up. That's why I was saying in our last episode that I mix a lot of my friendship groups because I'm just trying
mm.
to get everybody in one space so I can see them all at the same time. You do that or?
Not necessarily. If they're already part of a group, I'll try my best to bring the group together. But because I'm not seeing them for so long, you kind of need to reestablish, like, you have to have a little bit of that reconnection D&M where you kind of just connect again about what's been going on over the last couple months.
Yeah,
And then if I've seen them and done that, then if I see them again on that trip, which is rare, then we'll like do a group activity or something
yeah,
where because otherwise I'll be there once every couple months. I see them. We kind of are talking a little bit, but it's a bit more superficial, particularly if they don't know the people that are there, and I
Yeah.
haven't really properly caught up with them.
yeah, yeah.
Which brings me to, I know we've been talking about, how has like world events impacted friendships um, in terms of cost of living and kind of prices of fuel and that kind of stuff. Another cost, which is not related and probably not a world event, though, is also your time and how
Mm.
much you want to spend, or how do you allocate the time? As you were just talking, you've come down, you've got a restricted amount of time. How do you kind of make those decisions. And I think, even for myself, I know I hibernate heaps. Like we're coming into winter. I'm just like, it's too cold. I want to stay inside. I'm too tired. Or if work's really busy, I tend to hibernate. And so then I feel like I save money because I'm not doing anything except staying in. And I'm like, that balances out then when we're in a summer period where I might be more social and going out a little bit more. Because I just find that maintaining the pace of constant catch ups throughout the year for me can be pretty hard.
Yeah.
That's so true about the time, the cost of your time. It really is. I think that's why I bring so many people together in one space, because then I can spend more time going to the beach, going to see my family, or I'll say to friends like when I go to Perth, I go to the beach every day and they'll go, "Can we catch up?" And I go, "Well, I'm going to the beach tomorrow if you want to come." Like I'm trying to get them to come along to my experiences, and have a walk along the beach sort of thing, rather than trying to make specific catch up points, if that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, to come along. Yeah, it's so true. The other thing too that, when you're talking about your time, when you're talking about, the costs and blah, 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 is the other thing too, in this really socially unpredictable time at the moment, I have to be very careful about the conversations I have,
Yes.
because some people agree with what's going on and some people don't. And I don't really want to have that heated discussion during this time. I just want to have a nice time, and I don't really want to go too deep into what's happening in the political landscape. I mean, I'm happy to talk about it, but I don't want to have a very argument about it during this precious time that we're spending together.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And so there are some topics which are sometimes just off limits,
Yeah,
or you try to kind of deflect. And particularly, like I was hoping to catch up with a friend. Like we are going to, but we were negotiating times to catch up. And they said, "Oh, I'm really bad on a Friday. Like I'm the worst version of myself on a Friday, so I won't catch up." And I kind of was like, yeah, it's interesting just kind of thinking, okay, if you do catch up on a Friday, you don't want to spend it having a big political
yeah,
debate. You want
yeah,
to have a time to decompress the
yeah,
week.
yeah, yeah. You really do. You need that time.
Hmm.
I sometimes find that, I get people together and then they're having a big political discussion, and I'm thinking, how can I segue this into something else? Like, I just need everyone to calm down.
That's why doing an activity sometimes is good because if you're playing
Exactly.
pool or doing trivia or playing board games, although we stopped playing board games because we'd fight. I didn't think I was a competitive person, but turns out we
Seriously?
are. Yeah.
I'm glad you've learnt that about yourself.
Still sometimes I'm like, I'm really not that competitive, but like Scott and I don't play board games together.
Hmm. Yeah, I thought that I was a pretty mellow person, but then one or two people learnt the one or two things to say that pinch a nerve, and all of a sudden, it's just chaos.
You've got
Chaos.
Luke.
Just one or two little jabs, and I'm like, okay, I
Let's
see.
go.
Yeah, I
Let's
see.
go.
But you know what? It's like how when we were in COVID, and for our overseas listeners, Melbourne was in the longest lockdown in the history of the world.
2 years.
2 years, we were pretty much in lockdown, so we couldn't see people face to face. But we adapted, like our friendships adapted to be able to survive that. And we did what we could. I mean, a lot of it, Luke, did go digital
Hmm.
in terms of Zoom catch ups and phone calls and all of that kind of stuff. So, even with this uncertain time, we don't know how long it's going to last, but we do have things, we have the toolkit now to adapt, I
Mm,
think, a lot more than we did pre COVID.
mm.
Mm.
It's very true, actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.